All right, so welcome back. Today I want to look at an alternative to using Microsoft Access, simply because my students are having problem getting access to Microsoft Access. As we all know, Microsoft Access is a paid software, and so for those who could afford to get the Microsoft Access on, they can use it to build databases. But there are a lot of free alternatives out there that we can use, and the processes essentially remains the same, where we're talking about our construction of our four objects: our tables, our forms, our queries, and reports. And so this video is about showing you an alternative that I also use to create databases, right? And it works the same as Microsoft Access for creating databases for free. So we want to look for a software called Libreoffice. And of course, the word Libre means free, right? So I'll go to Libreoffice, and I'll just go straight to Libreoffice downloads. So it's at libreoffice.org. We can check it out and download it. So it's LibreOffice 7.0 I'm using here, and I'll just download. Now my operating system is Windows 64-bit, and for most computers that you'll be using, it's going to be Windows 64-bit. If not, it should automatically pick up the device that you're using and tell you what the operating system is. So it's not much of a hassle when you really think about it. So this is an alternative to using Microsoft Office. Specifically for this one, I'm going to use the database feature. Now keep in mind that LibreOffice is like Microsoft Office. It contains your productivity tools such as your Microsoft, such as your word processor, contains a spreadsheet software that you can use to edit spreadsheets, and then also for database creation, right? Just that it's under some different name. So again, while that is downloading, just a reminder, so I can also make it a teaching moment, that we're using the software to create our four objects: our tables, our forms, our queries, and our reports. Our tables are used to store data. So a table is probably the most important thing in your database, because it stores all the data that you have. Your forms are used to enter and to retrieve data from your tables. Your queries essentially ask your database a question and expect a return, right, in terms of answer. And the report, normally that is from where you produce a hard copy of information that you may have queried from your database, right? So tables, forms, queries, and reports. And some key terms that you also need to remember is the use of primary keys. And we said that a primary key was a unique identifier. And also then there is foreign key. And foreign key, we start working with that once we start doing multiple tables. And that's where you share a primary key from one table, or what was a primary key in one table, to another table. It then becomes a foreign key, right? So those are just some of the terms I want you to keep in mind. In some of the other videos, we also went through data versus information, right? And of course here we're just waiting for the download to complete for us to do the installation of Libreoffice, which is an alternative. You'll also find out, and I tried installing something called Openoffice, which is probably the same as LibreOffice, but it requires a Java package. Now, if you don't know what a Java package is, don't worry about it. I am hoping that this does the full installation without the requirement of installing Java. But if we need to go through the installation of Java, then we'll also do that, right? But LibreOffice, 300 megabytes in size. We're almost there. I'm taking you through the installation. I don't want to skip anything because I want to make sure that you can also install it on your devices, right? And this should also work on Android device, Mac device, Windows devices in terms of operating systems, right? So you shouldn't have any issue in terms of installation and getting your database done now. All right. So once that is downloaded, we can then double click the installation and have it run. And we'll try to go through some of the default installation settings that are there, right? So next, we'll do typical so we don't run into any issues. You can create a shortcut, that's fine. So I'm creating a shortcut on my desktop. Windows is asking for permission to verify publisher, yes. Validating install. All right, it says something else is using this, so I'm going to do a crash handler process, which I don't know what that is, but I'm going to say close the application and attempt to restart them. Okay. Your machine might not give that. I have a lot of stuff installed on my computer, and that's why I gave that one, right? But if it does, just okay through it, it's fine. I'll try to close the application. I'll continue the installation of Libreoffice. And the tutorials that I have online for Microsoft Access, right now, the process is similar. If you have watched those already, the process is similar for this. But if you want to, I can do a bunch of tutorials on how to use LibreOffice for creating different sections to what. I'll do that based on request. I just want to show the alternative here. And I prefer that you give it a try and see if it's something that you can learn. By looking for tutorials online. And of course, I'll have to create some tutorials when I think about it, right? But it's just an alternative to Microsoft Access. So the installation takes a bit, so you can, if you want to, you can fast forward through the video or skip through the video to the end of this installation. I will leave it running for people who will get a little bit jumpy when they're installing file, because I want you to see the entire process. I don't want you to feel like I skipped anything, right? And again, the reason I'm doing this video is particularly for students who don't have access to the Microsoft Access, therefore are unable to do some of the assessments or some of the assignments that I have issued. And so this will work for you for sure. What you need to ensure is that you remember the concepts of the creation of the 4 objects: tables, forms, queries, and reports. And so we need to create those. There are something called wizards that you can use to assist you in creating those. And you can go direct to design view like you did in Microsoft Access during the first tutorials that I have. All right, so we're almost there. Installation is complete. Perfect. You must restart your system for it to take effect. And if you plan, so I will have to restart, guys. So I'll restart and I'll come right back to the video. I want to see if I can, right? If I can. So no. LibreOffice. I know it needs restarting, but I'm still trying, so I don't have to restart and stop the video. Alright, I'll need to restart, yeah. Oh, there we go. Recommendation, make sure you do the restart. I haven't done it yet, so if it crashes, I'm going to restart over. Alright, so we're here in LibreOffice. Again, the shortcut looks something like that one once it's installed on your system. Right, and we're looking at, it has a word processor, it has spreadsheet, it has something like a PowerPoint in terms of presentation, it has something for drawing, something for math formulas also, so math teachers, you definitely will love this. And for database, now the one we're interested in today is database. So let's click on that, and we'll say create a new database, and that is okay, right? So create a new database, that is checked. Next. It says, do you want to register the database? At this point, we don't have to register the database. It's just our practice at home. So we'll put no, do not register. Open database for editing, that is fine, right? So finish. Now you want to give your database a name and where to save it. So I'm saving it on my desktop. I'm calling it I'll call this my practice database. So practice DB. And then save. So the file is created. It says requires Java in order to perform the task. So I'll have to install Java on my computer. So I can also show you guys how to do that now, right? So Java runtime environment. Okay. Cannot be established. Okay. So let's get back into our browser and let's look for Java runtime environment download. So Java runtime environment download from Oracle. Should be fine. And let's do the Windows offline package and download. So agree. Nah, you shouldn't have to sign in. Let's go back. Oh, Java for Linux. No. All right, there we go. So Java, 64-bit Java for Windows. So that was the first option. Let me go back and show you. So we're going to java.com, right? I'm just clicking on download Java for Linux. It selects your operating system as Windows because I'm using Windows. And I can then agree and start free download. So we do have to install the Java product, right? As a part of it. All right, so small installation. I'll install, I'll double click the application again, select yes, so it gives the computer authority to install it. I will have to close this program off, sorry. And the Java installation should be running. Notice it says that Google Chrome might not use Java again. Java still is an important tool for most applications. So most mobile devices relied on Java for running of applications, right? Which is weird because for me, Java was automatically on your computer. Not having to install Java now is kind of different for me, but yes, it needs a Java runtime environment for the software to function. And so we are installing that on the machines also, right? So bear a little bit of patience. Remember the steps. We tried installing Libreoffice. It requires Java to run, and so we're installing Java, right? So close. I know I need to restart, but I'll try it again without restarting. If not, I'll do the restart. So Libreoffice practice document. Now it opens there. I want to create a table, and we're good. So our 4 object now comes up: tables, queries, form, reports. So that means my installation is good. I installed LibreOffice. I installed Java to assist it in performing its functions. So I'm going to show you quickly how to create tables in this first tutorial. I don't want to make it too lengthy, but to create a table, we'll do create table in design view. So just like the access tutorial that I did, right? Create table in design view, and this should look the same as the tutorials that I have in Microsoft Access. So let's say my first field name was student ID. My field type, I know that is a text. For the most part, you're using text, you're using numbers, right? And if you're working with money, normally you do something called a double or a real will work, right? So we'll do student ID, we'll do first name as text, we'll do last name as text. Remember that you have to set your primary key. So this doesn't automatically set the primary key for you. So you can select student ID and you can right click here on the side and choose primary key. Notice a little key appears now, right? It's not as fancy as the one in Microsoft Access, but it's the same concept. There's a key that appears to say this is your primary key. And of course the description is optional. And then there's field properties, and these make it easy because it limits the amount of field properties you can actually change. Good. So you have created your first table. Let's save our table by clicking here on save. This one brings a save button. And let's call our table, in this case, student table. And OK. Now I can close this table. So we can do file and close. And notice my table appears here now. If I double click my table, it opens the table. I can add in a student ID. I can add in a first name. I can add in a last name. And the list continues. So now when I close this, if I double click student table again, my data is there. Student ID, first name, last name. And in your case, if you're building another database that requires more fields, remember that you can always right click and, well, why am I doing right click? You can always go back to the design for this and then check to see, right click, edit, go back to the design and add in the necessary field names that you would need to create your database. So that's generally it. I am hoping that this tutorial was useful to you. LibreOffice as an alternative to Microsoft Access. So if you're having problem getting the first database done, you can go ahead and try to install a LibreOffice, and I hope this works for you. You guys enjoy the rest of the day. It's weekend, so you probably might look at this on Monday, right? But I hope it works. Give me some feedback whether it works for you or not. Peace.